The format for tonight, we have the three candidates sitting in the center of the room, and we will give them a chance to introduce themselves. Then we have panelists. So representing the Hawaiian community are these folks here who will also introduce themselves in just a moment. My name is Christine Kuba. I'm here on behalf of Recycle Hawaii. This is John Olson, and he represents the Sierra Club. So together the Sierra Club and Recycle Hawaii came together to hold this forum. The purpose of it is to find out where the candidates stand on environmental issues, because environmentalists are our constituents year after year, and we know that these issues are important to them. We wanted to bring them up on their behalf and find out where the candidates stand. So I think this would be a good opportunity to hand the microphone to La'akea Carvalho. We at Recycle Hawaii know him because we've just started working with him and his wife, Kanani Fraser. They have an organization they call Knowledge in Motion. They're helping us with marine debris education programs. And we asked him if he would please invite folks to come from the Hawaiian community and participate in the forum. We felt that it was good protocol. And we also know, as the host culture, sometimes Hawaiians have a different perspective on the environment. We wanted to give them a chance to express that.
Aloha and mahalo for everyone for coming. This opportunity came up, and actually I did not volunteer myself. We went out and personally looked at our organizations out in the field. Last night we had a great representation from the Ahamoku Council. And unfortunately, we couldn't get another good community organization that represented the community fighting these issues more than, I'll say, myself in this new education. And for me, it's been great to be a part of this, because now I'm coming in actually as a person within the community. No organization in full. Our work is done based off of experience. I'm a father of two. My daughter was born with a disability, which has driven me to become a student again here at the university. This disability is an increasing disability here in Hawaii. So this is, you see how my environmental concern has transitioned my life, and making sure that the rest of the community don't have to either go through the same issues, and that we maybe continue perpetuating our movement of honoring cleaning of our aina, and also the education of that. So I'm here for that piece, and I'm thankful to have two great younger gentlemen to be here as well, as I think this is maybe a little bit different to get a younger voice or perspective to our candidates here, and I think it's a good change and a good part for that. So please bear with us, as personally, this is new for us to even sit here and actually really pay attention to who's representing us. So mahalo and thank you.
Hello, my name is Kaiwana Kalei. I'm just a student here at UiChilo, with a focus in health here in the islands. For us, the aina and our kai are interconnected with us as a people, and so when one suffers, the other one suffers. And I just came tonight to kind of get a feel of how you guys view the changes that are going on in Hawaii, and to maybe voice a different side, or maybe the same side. We'll see. Thank you.
Hello, my kako. My name is Lakia Trask. I am a part-time educator, Hawaiian planter, an artist and a musician, and I'm very excited to be here. Thank you for having us, and aloha aina.
Okay, so those are the introductions on this side, and now we'll have the candidates introduce themselves. And I think as they introduce themselves, they can take about 2 minutes to tell us a little bit about themselves and their campaign. And I guess we'll start with Shane. Oh, okay. So if you in the audience have questions, we have cards. Bob has them. And you can fill the card out like this. The reason we're asking for your contact information is because if we don't get to your question, we will give it to the candidate, and if they're inspired, they would contact you through that means to answer your question.
You put your hand up, I'll be happy to bring it to you.
Aloha. My name is Margarita Hopkins, more commonly known as Dai Dai. I wish to express my appreciation to both Recycle Hawaii and the Sierra Club for this opportunity to talk with you. I settled here in Hilo 26 years ago after working in agriculture and community development programs overseas for many years. My 3 children were raised here, and I have 11 grandchildren. All of my children and grandchildren are the reason I am running for county council. I want them to be able to stay in this island to live and work, if they wish. But to enable that, we must have both a strong economy and healthy environment. I'm well qualified and experienced to bring that perspective to the council. I have a graduate degree in agricultural economics and work as the Hawaii County Economic Development Specialist responsible for agriculture and natural resources for over 20 years. Additionally, I have been a life member of Sierra Club for several decades. My accomplishments in the area of environmental management and conservation are extensive, including support for diversified agriculture, organic and natural farming, forest stewardship, and control of invasive species. Thank you.
Aloha kako. I am Carrie Marks. I am a 14-year resident here on the Hawaii Island. I live here with my husband and 3 children. Our oldest daughter graduated from Hilo High in 2005 and lives on the mainland now. And now we have our daughter Denver, who's 13, and our twin boys JJ and PJ, who were born here on this island. I was drawn to this island for certain, and specifically the Hilo side of this island. I feel a very strong connection to the community and the Aina, and have devoted my life for the last couple of years to trying to make change, social change and political change and all kinds of changes. And we've had some successes, and so I see the county council as the next step in my journey of change. That this is where the rubber hits the road, and that we can actually make changes that affect people's lives positively. So that's why I'm running. I am a strong proponent of open government. My campaign slogan is accountability, transparency, and action. And that is pretty much what you can expect from me. So please remember to vote on August 9th. It's very important to the 3 of us sitting here that you all go make a choice between at least one of us on August 9th. And mahalo Sierra Club and Recycle Hawaii and you folks for coming to ask us questions, and I look forward to it. Mahalo.
Good evening. Forgive my voice. I had a surgery a couple weeks, a month ago actually. Voice hasn't come back yet. My name is Shane Gali. I'm a Kalamana resident for my entire life. I grew up and loved my district, and I decided to run for the County Council District 2. I have experience in government with over 20 years of experience working for state and county agencies. Just for your information, I run a totally self-funded, influence-free campaign. I don't take any donations. And the reason I do that is to avoid having to be beholden to any kind of public, any kind of private self-interest. It's very difficult, as my colleagues can explain, that you need a lot of money to run for office. It's really hard, and you can tell by the amount of advertising by some of our opponents that are not here this evening. But I'm a full-time employee of the judiciary at the time. I'm a part-time student here at the university also. And much like my colleagues, we just really want to try something different. None of us, I guess, we would call status quo type candidates, the ones that has been representing my district anyway for a long time now. Thank you very much for the opportunity. Thank you, Sierra Club. Thank you, Recycle Hawaii.
All right, thank you very much. And I think we'll start with La'akea folks. Question from the Hawaiian community to the candidates. Each candidate will have 3. We'll give each candidate 3 minutes to answer the question. And we do have a timer. We'll have a sign. I'll wave it at you when it's time to wrap it up. Okay.
Sorry about that. In Hawaiian culture, wai, or water, is everything. Our watersheds are areas that collect, store, and filter rainwater and provide us with the groundwater that is essential. Let's start over. Okay. Sure. In Hawaiian culture, wai is essential to us. It's part of the reason wai means wealthy. And so I have this question. It's regarding the watersheds. And because they provide us with all of the nutrients and the essentials of our life, water is very important. And in Hawaii, these watersheds have been largely degraded by various modes, including pollution, development, deforestation, fire, and the spread of invasive species. How do you plan to protect our watersheds for our grandchildren and their grandchildren to come?
Mahalo. Okay, well, water is life. You are correct. And so I have been working with and involved with a lot of different conservancy groups and the hunters and all kinds of people that are concerned about the watersheds. And it's pretty well known that the water follows the forest. And so we need to maintain and preserve and support our watersheds to make sure that they're available for our future generations. I would definitely get with the Game Management Advisory Commission and the folks that know more about what's going on up on the mountain and ask their advice on how to proceed from this point.
Yes, much go to the.
Thank you. Good question. There's a lot of issues right now on the county council dealing with water, especially on, I believe, South Kona area, Kau also. To protect, more specifically in our district, there's a lot of proposed development right now between the Kauma area and the Waikea area. I don't know if you're familiar with the whole forest between Upper Kauma and Waikea. There's a lot of proposed development going on at this time. And, you know, we really, the area residents really want to slow that process down. They're really trying to, I mean, almost fighting the development of, you know, 2 proposed roads going straight across. New schools, new housing lots, but, you know, the development, in particularly that particular area is much needed watershed for our district anyway. So I guess being informed, being very careful with the regulation, and again, that's it. Water is very important. We need to protect for everybody. One more thing was the protecting not only the watershed, but the water table itself with the regulation, possible regulation and oversight on pesticides and pesticides, herbicides, fertilizers, because eventually everything we put down goes to the water table, so we need to watch out for that.
Thank you for that question. If I have the opportunity to serve in the county council, this is what I'm going to do. First of all, water is very, very important. And to me, water is the source of everything. We cannot live without water, and so we have to preserve and protect it. I really would like to look at the whole island. We're talking about our island, or the whole state of Hawaii? Hawaii Island, thank you. I really look at the whole island and then identify those areas that are a great source of as a watershed, and then try to set it aside, and then will not allow any development in that area. Set up a buffer so that at least it's not going to go to the areas that we would like to protect. And put in some money to make sure that we manage it. I don't believe on just leaving it and don't touch it, because some of the ruins that happens into our forest, it's because it's not being managed. So it has to be managed such that it will continue to be a healthy and vibrant watershed. And by that means that if there are invasive species in that area, it needs to be removed. If there are animals that would harm it, it needs to be taken out, and it needs money. So if at all I have to put in some sort of policy in protecting that watershed, I want to make sure that we also put money to implement it. And I believe that I should not put any policy in there if it's going to be implemented, because it's just, doesn't do us any good. I serve in the Forest and Stewardship Committee, where we actually give opportunity to landowners to rehab their lands to back into forest. And there is a cost share that we allow for that, and we have lots of landowners that had take advantage of that program. I also work and funded the soil and water conservation districts, where they actually help, if at all there is any scaring on areas that we have, not necessarily land in general, that they really need to follow some strict conservation regulations. Thank you.
Well, since we're going there, the county council basically has a minimal amount of reach in terms of the watershed protection. Most of that is covered by state law. But one of the things that the county council is currently being asked to do is to pass a resolution supporting a management area for that Kona area that was just mentioned. As council people, would you support that resolution?
Is that a yes, no, or is it
Yes. If they want to do some follow-up on it, that's fine.
a yes, no with some words?
Yes, in support of resolution to protect, especially for the South Kona area. Coupled to, very limited water supply, very low, the water table's running low. So definitely for South Kona, yes.
Yes, I would.
For South Kona, we really have problems with water. How I wish we could bring some of our water to the east side and bring it to the west side. I haven't really seen and studied the resolution, my apology for that. But in general, I support any type of protection for a watershed. Now, as I have indicated earlier, I have to make sure that by protection means that we have to actively manage it, not just leave it and don't touch it.
Okay, Recycle Hawaii, here we go. We're very interested in where you stand on waste management issues. We prefer to call them resource management issues. Try our best not to use the word waste unless it's as a verb. We don't think trash, we don't think rubbish. So before I actually ask a question about your opinion, I would like to take this turn asking a series of questions that help everyone understand your level of knowledge about waste management, resource management issues. So how we're going to do this, I'm going to ask you a true or false question, and then you'll have a chance, if you think it's true, to raise your hand. If you think it's false, you can raise your hand. All right, so the first question is, true or false? There is no residential curbside pickup on Hawaii Island. True or false? Okay. Actually, and who says false? Carrie, do you say false? False. There actually is residential curbside pickup. The county doesn't do it, but the private sector does. Yeah. So that's a kind of a tricky question, but it helps to create awareness about, because we often hear Department of Environmental Management say, well, there's no residential curbside pickup, so we can't do this and we can't do that. And actually, there are businesses that pick up from the curbside. Okay, so a follow-up question to that, true or false? Those companies that do provide curbside pickup service, is it against, true or false? It is against the law for the companies picking up recyclable materials from local households to deposit those recyclables in the mixed recycling bins at county transfer stations. So I'll break that down just a little bit. Let's say someone comes to your home and they are picking up your discards, and you have nicely set aside your recyclables in a bag. Is it legal for them to pick up that bag of recyclables and take it to the county transfer station on your behalf? So is it true that they can? True or false? Okay, so who thinks they can take that, pick it up on your behalf, and take it to the mixed recycling bin for you? Who thinks they can? Can? Can. Can? Okay. The other two think they can't?
I don't think that's a practice. I don't think we can do it.
It's actually against the law for them to pick up your recyclables. So if you set it aside and say, please take this to the recycling bin for me, you can take my trash to the other part, but please take this to the recyclables. It's against the law for them to do that. Okay. True or false? Plans to build an incinerator in Hilo include redirecting discards from Waimea, Honoka'a, Laupahoehoe, and Pauilo to East Hawaii. So the plan afoot to build an incinerator would have the discards coming from Waimea, Honoka'a, Laupahoehoe, and Pauilo to Hilo. True or false? Is that true?
I think that's true.
Okay, everybody says true? Okay, you're all right. It's true. That's part of the plan. True or false? State-of-the-art waste-to-energy plants have no emissions. Is that true or false? State-of-the-art. Best out there. Best practice. Best available technology has no emissions. True True? False?
False.
False. They do have emissions. Yes. True or false? We're more than halfway. True or false? There is no need to separate discards fed into a waste-to-energy plant. So if you have a waste-to-energy plant, can you just get out there with a shovel and just hit at the pile and shovel everything in, or do you have to separate it first? So as a true or false question, there is no need to separate discards going into a waste-to-energy plant. True? Okay, you guys have to say too. False?
Oh, we have to say now?
Well, or raise your
Just
hand.
raising our hand.
There you go.
Sorry.
True? Not true. False? Is that false? Okay. What do you think?
What was the question?
Okay, true or false? There is no need to separate discards fed into a waste-to-energy plant. So is it true that you can just shovel this stuff in?
False.
If there's no recycling program, then you have to put it in, but if there is, it should.
Okay, actually the truth is they do have to separate it. Waste-to-energy plant can't take everything. All right, true or false? Styrofoam is a kind of plastic. True or false? True?
True.
I don't know, I look at it as a different types of mass compared to plastic.
Okay, true. Styrofoam is a kind of plastic. It's plastic. They put air in it, but it's plastic. It's number 6. Okay, last question. And you're such good sports to let me put you on the spot like this. But, we want people to understand, later when we ask your opinion, where it's coming from. Okay. So, County of Hawaii recycling programs remove the majority of recyclable materials from the waste stream. True or false? County of Hawaii recycling programs remove the majority of recyclable materials from the waste stream. True?
They do take out some, but not as much as they should.
Okay, so is that false?
That is false. They don't remove any recyclables from the waste stream. In fact, they sometimes dump recyclables into the waste stream if they're dirty.
Okay, they do not remove the majority of recyclable materials. We're talking about the recycling programs. Yeah, so they don't. They capture about 37%. Okay, thank you so much for being good sports on that. Probably not what you expected, but and now we're going to go back to the Hawaiian community.
Aloha. So the concept of aloha aina is a very important, significant, and historic one for Hawaiians, for Hawaiian subjects, Kanaka Maoli. What's your understanding of aloha aina?
I think we're starting with you.
My concept of aloha aina would be, my father was born and raised in Akahue. Spent a lot of my childhood following this as he would pikopi up and down the coast. And just having lived that experience in the sun, the ocean breeze, and trying to protect coastlines from development, from trash. You guys all know, you've been down to the Kau beaches where everything in the world just washes up on the shore. And that's a big impact for anybody to see. I mean, if anybody haven't seen that in person, you really got to see it. Trash from all over the world, every different language you find on every little piece of trash that you find. It breaks your heart to experience that, and you really know that even though we're so isolated in the middle of the ocean, far away from everything else in the world, but we still get it all. So just taking care of the land, because that's what's going to take care of us in the long term. Thank you.
Thank you. Aloha Aina to me is respect of the land. Don't dirt it, don't throw away your garbage in it, because that is really the source of life. I mean, it's through land that things grow to sustain human being. And as such, we have to respect it, we have to keep it clean, and we have to make sure that we don't desecrate it by just taking it for granted that it's just a piece of dirt, and we can do whatever we want on it, pouring, elements and chemicals in it without even thinking that it would actually harm the land itself. So respect and keep it clean, and then preserve its, if it is pristine, try to preserve it. And then if it has been desecrated, bring it back to where it should be. And if it is spoiled, then try to rehab it so that it will be a strong and vibrant land. Thank you.
Thanks, Bob. I got it. Aloha Aina to me also means love of the land and respect of the land. And in addition to it being where our food comes from and us essentially, we also need to take care in our planning, and we have not done that on Hawaii Island very well for the last ever. So it's time to restore some balance and show some respect for the Aina, and not bomb Pohakuloa, and not desecrate a sacred summit with more technology that may or may not be useful by the time it's built, let alone ever. And unfortunately, remediation, soil remediation is a new word for me that I just learned in the last year or two. I'd never heard that before. I'm from Nebraska, so we know quite a bit about farming in Nebraska too. And there was never any remediation. That wasn't part of the plan. So apparently that's something we need to spend some effort and some time on now too, and make sure that we're not damaging it any further than we already have, and put some balance back and make it right.
Am I under time, Bob?
You should.
Excellent.
All very well.
You're welcome.
John. Oh, boy.
You're going to go off.
That's all a little concerned there for a moment.
Given the world we live in. Okay, I'm not quite ready to let up on this, the water issue. The county does not have particularly a great amount of reach. What reach it does have is in its grubbing and grading permitting practices, and its tax incentive for those people who put their land into preservation. The first question that I would have to you is on the grubbing and grading issue. While the law is on the books, there is no particular mechanism for the county other than people reporting it, making a guess as to whether what's being done is legal. The county does not act upon its own. Recently we found out that the county is acting using satellite technology to determine whether or not the people who are getting an agricultural exemption, would you support the use of that technology to report, to discover illegal grubbing and grading?
Yes, no, in a few words.
Okay, as far as grubbing and grading permit, I worked with that particular issue while I was working in the county. We actually work with the NRCS through the soil and water conservation districts to help in the conservation plan for farmers that would like to farm, particularly when it entails grubbing and grading. If they don't have any conservation plan, because the county, particularly the Department of Public Works, used to handle that thing before. They have engineers, but that engineers is more on the residential type of grubbing and grading. And they didn't really have specifically somebody within the department that could understand grubbing and grading when it pertains to farming. So 3 years ago, they moved that particular role to the Department of Research and Development, and I ended up on handling that project. So, having said that, the Department of Public Works had already worked with the soil and water conservation districts through NRCS, Natural Resources and Conservation Service, to ensure that whoever is going to do grubbing and grading when it pertains to agricultural practices, they have to have a conservation plan that is being put together by a conservation specialist in the NRCS, Natural Resources and Conservation Service. And that particular conservation plan, which is going to be approved by the soil and water conservation districts, is going to be submitted to the Public Works to get the permit for grubbing and grading. Now, having said that, the question of what was that, John? Is the satellite, okay? That particular technology, in combination to that one, I can use that thing as generalized spot check of where different activities is in. But I still believe that there should be a follow-up on that, the actual walkthrough in that specific area to really check in person and in real, where it is, to make sure that they really indeed are practicing farming, or if they have done grubbing and grading without permit, that they need to be fined, and or they need to have some repercussion for doing that. I mean, it's a good tool to as a starting point. Okay, thank you.
Okay, so the question is about using satellite technology to catch illegal grubbers and graders.
Correct.
Yes, okay, thank you. Yes, we're already doing that. If you go to a planning commission meeting, almost all of their site plans and information that they give the public and the commission about the site is from Google Earth. That's how they do it. There was a couple weeks ago, maybe a month ago, there was a bill that came through the council asking the planning department to actually do site visits when they approve subdivision permits and that kind of thing instead of the Google Earth technology. And they voted that down 2-7, I believe. They didn't think site visits were important. I testified that I think site visits are important because not only can you see what's going on there, you can hear things, you can smell things, you can, actually connect with the land and what's going on there. You also have to drive through traffic to get there, and so all of these things are a factor that they didn't see fit to take into account. I think that we should put that kind of stuff in before you can even get your grubbing and grading permit. But your question is basically after the fact, once we've already known that there's illegal grubbing and grading going on, what do we do about it? We need to raise the fines substantially. There is, as Mr. Gali pointed out, quite a bit of development plan for our neighborhood of Kalmana, and they have already blown way past their permits. They were not to erect anything in the air until they fixed some problems with the street and the realignment, and they didn't. I'm pretty sure it was a $500 fine. So they just went ahead because We're talking about a multi-million-dollar nursing home going up here, which I am all for, and I think most of the neighborhood is for. I mean, we want services like that, but we need to make our laws with teeth so that people actually respect them. We do live in a complaint-driven society.
Thank you. Very good question. Initially, I do support the use of technology. I do support the use of the technology just to, but I do have constitutional issues with that. As long as you don't overreach and, using satellites to look at your property, if they're just looking for grading, fine. If they're going any further than that, then I have a serious issue with that, with the use of that technology. But like you said, there is other ways to find out about the illegal grading without permits unless somebody reports it. And unfortunately, in certain areas, a lot of people are not gonna, no one there. So initially, yes, I would support.
Do you support Mayor Kanoy's plan to build a mass burn incinerator in South Hilo?
Yes and no in a few words?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And we're starting with Kerry.
Do I support the waste-to-energy plant? No.
In South Hilo? I know it's happening to me.
Yeah, I know
What have we done? There's a ghost in the machine. I do not support waste-to-energy in South Hilo. It's the wrong area. It's the wrong site. We don't have the consumables that they need to put into it. They don't have the need for the energy on this side of the island, but they do on the west side. East side, no. Burning, probably no.
Oh, sorry. I mean, that's not the question.
I agree with Kerry's statement, and it's the wrong side. Unfortunately, the studies show that we're not developing enough burnable material to make the project feasible. There may be an option where maybe we could ship the items to the other H-Power on Oahu or other options. Right now, at this very moment, I need more information on the project, but not supporting.
Okay, as far as that particular project is concerned, I am for recycling as much as we can on all of our waste. However, let's face it, there is at least 10% that is still not going to be recycled, that cannot be recycled. So the question is, what are we going to do with it? And are we going to do what? And so as much as we don't, to me, I cannot say outright that I don't support, I support. I support recycling, but then at least we have to address those waste that cannot be recycled. And whether you have to burn it or not, that's something that needs discussion.
Aloha. Law defines a culture. To justify that in the Hawaiian culture, for instance, the kapu system and other laws that was laid out, it helped us perpetuate and maintain our resources properly. Those laws were the hard-stricken laws with teeth on it, that allowed these things to be taken care of. It's quick to say that we find other alternatives than basic education where culturally everybody got that education. Everybody knew that. Everybody took upon that kuleana within themselves. My question to you is, because law defined our culture, and it was so important. And with this new education of the laws and history, what is your level of education of the Hawaiian culture and its values? Because you're representing this place that we all call home. And without defining and understanding those proper laws, which defines these cultures that we all take upon and we all have grown to love, it does take education to maintain those things, not money, not the export of things, right? Because this kind of leads into, I'll say kind of within the two questions, because our import is so high, we're also bringing high invasive species into our place. So if we stop the ships and we stop those imports to take care of our place, are we able to do that? Right? Do we have the proper laws set up for that? Or do we again just go back and say, oh, let's go back and see what has done before? But we've always been doing that. We've always been searching. The information is all there. So my question really pretty much comes down to your education level and if you're willing or wanting to learn more on that. Because, again, law defines the culture and we do feel it important.
2 minutes.
Thank you, that's a good question. I would like to start off with level of education and the culture. Basically is how I was brought up. My grandmother on my dad's side in Ka'u, she actually spoke Native Hawaiian. And this was before, the resurgence, the renaissance of the language coming back. I am part Hawaiian, and unfortunately my level of education in the culture should be a lot more than it really is. I am willing to learn all the time. I'm a volunteer with the Po'anu'ea program at college, and we educate, and I educate myself all at the same time, where we take children using cultural education to get them interested in all kinds of projects that would bring them into college and to further their education. I'm also a recipient of a Kamehameha School Scholarship, and there's a lot of lessons to be learned through the program to raise our cultural awareness. And again, a lot of it was the way I was raised. Should be a lot higher, yes, and willing to learn, yes. Thank you.
Thank you for that question. As far as my education level, you're asking for education level of the Hawaiian culture. Culture? Yes, yeah, and what it is. I'm so impressed with the Hawaiian, if you call it law, and then I call it a culture, of taking care of each other, very respectful of the elders, and actually have to take care of the land, because that is where you get most of the food that keep you alive. And also the love of the kids. I mean, it's really there that the family ties is so strong, and that there is always this respect of the elders, and the elders have the authority. You're talking of the law to make sure that the kids are brought up on their culture, and that they do good things, bad or good. I mean, regardless of whether it's Hawaiian or if it is other types of types of people. I mean, good or bad is the same. And I would like to learn more about why there is this strong feeling of I guess I would want to belong to Hawaii, even if I'm not a Hawaiian. And not being able to talk your language and to be well conversant of your language makes me feel that I don't know enough of your culture, and I should learn more about it.
Hello. Mahalo for your question. My education level on the Hawaiian culture is growing. I've been here for 14 years, so I'm just scratching the surface. But I have tried to surround myself with people that I know and trust that can help teach me those things. I have spent quite a bit of time over the last couple of years with Pele practitioners, and I've learned about their cultural, I'm sorry, that was super distracting, with the Pele practitioners and people that were opposed to geothermal development, for example, and the reasons for that, and people that are opposed to development. I'm playing Tetris with myself or something. So anyway, I go to a lot of meetings, and I've been to a lot of cultural events and that kind of thing. But I would say that my first truly cultural experience that really hit me was a year and a half or 2 years ago when we were at the county building for the final hearing of the Board of Land and Natural Resources meeting for the 30-meter telescope. And there was a ceremony outside before the hearing that moved me to tears. It was really, really powerful. And since then, I've really opened up my eyes and my heart to a lot of different perspectives. And it's a constant challenge for me to keep learning and to keep surrounding myself with good people. As to your question, if the imports stop tomorrow, do we have the laws in place to sustain ourselves? No, we don't. No, we don't. And we are on a very slippery slope right now. It's one of the reasons also that I have spent so much time with the hunters, because their game animals are being eradicated. And if it gets to the point where there are no animals, that's a meat source. And especially in a crisis, in an emergency situation, those are the people that I would go to for help. So, Father's hovering.
Oh, okay. John?
Thank you. Last question on the land issue, to which the county has some reach. As I mentioned earlier, the county gives a tax exemption to landowners who put their land in preservation, meaning that they have at least 3/4 endemic vegetation on the property. And they reduce the taxes for whatever it is to a $100 a year minimum. Would you continue to support that?
Okay.
Thank you, John. I would continue supporting it. It's because I was there when we actually tried to define what it is a natural forest or native forest. And it was difficult, but then there are areas that needs to be preserved. And as long as the landowners would like to embrace it, I mean, we should have that choice for them to get into that program.
$100. Well, conservation land is good, and we all want to conserve things, but we also have to make sure that we are not just giving gentlemen estates a tax break. And so it has to be monitored, probably at a better level than we've been doing, because that's what can happen, is that rich landowners will come in and buy something up, have it declared a conservation area, and then they're tax-free as long as they own the land. They own the land. And then when they can still sell the land. It's not preserved in perpetuity. It's just a tax break. So that would be the distinction I would make, and make darn sure that it's actually conservation land and not a proposed subdivision.
I would support the continuation of the tax break. Very valid concerns on the size of the property and the development though. That's it.
Okay. I do a lot of zero waste events, and I've gotten to know Styrofoam rather well from doing those events. And it's most often used at an individual level as a food service item, so like disposable dinnerware. And I can tell you that Styrofoam, it causes a lot of problems when you're trying to separate and to recycle, especially when you're trying to capture food contaminated items and compost. So I wonder if you folks would be willing to support a ban on the use of Styrofoam for food service purposes. And that means that we would no longer allow people to send out takeout containers from the restaurants with Styrofoam, or to use Styrofoam to serve food at events.
So that'll be beginning a yes, no, and then some words.
Yes, that was my idea. I would support a Styrofoam ban. Like I said, I've lived here 14 years, and until I had moved here 14 years ago, I hadn't seen Styrofoam in years. Most of the mainland has banned that stuff a long, long time ago. We all know it's bad. Doesn't go anywhere. We should get rid of it. They do make other takeout containers. I love takeout. I don't want everybody to stop buying takeout, but you can get it made from soy products and potato products, and there's all kinds of starches you can make containers out of. So let's start doing that.
I don't know where to go.
I would also support. There are very good alternatives now that was not available many years ago, but now there are very good alternatives.
Okay, Christine, you said that there are Styrofoam that are recyclable. You said number 5 or whatever the thing is. To me, it's a matter of if at all we're going to ban it, I would really like if it's going to be done such that transition thing, so it gives opportunity for those people that has those in their staff to really use it up until they're done, and then after that we have to offer them an alternative. You cannot just ban something and then drop it and then they don't have anything. I know that the recyclable type of containers is a little bit pricey, and it really gets back to charges of that food is going to go to the buyers, and I have to really look at what is it that would impact on the price of the food. Now, if it's minimal, I sure would like to get rid of it, but then we have to offer an alternative for it. Because if you don't, I mean, it's not going to do us any good.
I'll just give a little follow-up response to that. Styrofoam is number 6 plastic, and the county does not recycle that. The only place you can take number 6 plastic on the island is Mr. K's, but it has to be clean. So if you're doing a zero waste event or you're trying to maximize the separation, and I have done this, I have spent hours and hours rinsing pieces of Styrofoam so that I could take them down and recycle it. So that when the food, especially that orange chili sauce, gets in and meets the Styrofoam, that's a deadly combination, man. It just like sucks it up, and you can't get it out of there. So that's the idea, is to no longer use Styrofoam for food service, because once it gets contaminated with food, it's pretty much unrecyclable. And just to add, the cost difference between compostable disposable dinnerware and non-compostable is about 5 cents per serving. Yeah. So, okay. I think we might take a reading from the audience. Would you like to have a break about now? 5 minutes, use the bathroom, get some water, come back? Or should we just carry on? What's that? A break? Would you folks like a break? Carry on. All right, troopers, we're going to carry on. And should we take some questions from the audience?
There's some audience questions.
Okay, how about if we do that?
And if these correctly represent what you asked, please stand up and make a correction. This is from Edwin, and it's a two-part question. What is your definition of conservation and preservation? And the second part is, what resolution would you bring forth to the council to protect Hawaiian rights to hunt? Did I get that right?
Yes, you did.
Okay. And we're starting with Shane. Why don't we go a minute each on that?
Okay, conservation would just be protecting, setting aside certain areas. I guess preservation would be more keeping it sustainable and ready to use. As for protecting hunting rights and Hawaiian hunting rights, that's a very good question. I understand that there's both sides of the issue. Forested areas needing protection, hunters needing the areas to hunt. I believe we have fenced off a lot of areas already, which keeps the hunters out. Basically, if we've reached that balance, I mean, I would say there should be legal open areas for the hunters. Hunting has been around since the dawn of man. It's not going to go away. We fenced off and protected some areas. We removed some animals. I think the latest numbers was it was over 1,800 sheep and goats removed from the mountain. There's got to be some left for the hunters.
Let's stop. Okay, you're asking about the difference between conservation and protection. Yeah,
Preservation.
Preservation, conservation and preservation. Conservation to me is trying to keep the area in good health. Like by managing it. That to me is a conservation. You conserve the area by managing it such that it will it continues to be productive. And preservation, to me, has some inkling of don't touch it, and let it go, let nature take the course. As far as the hunters is concerned, I really believe that you have your hunting rights, and in order for us to be able to respect that, we should work with your group and get them to understand that there are times that all of those animals that you are preserving needs to be thinned out, because if you don't do that, it would actually destroy it will lead to the destruction of the area. So management again, to me, managing a resource is important to keep it in good shape instead of just leaving it without doing anything about it.
Okay, then my definition of conservation and preservation is to restore. It has to have restoration and management involved. You cannot just fence off 10,000 acres and call it good, and not let people in there anymore and call it good. Because what's happening is that our hunters, there are a lot of sheep and game up on the mountain still, but they are being eradicated, And the areas that the hunters are allowed to go and hunt and the times that they're allowed to go and hunt are becoming less and less. So Malka Makai access is a big issue. And from what I know, which is very little on Hawaiian culture, they don't really stick to a time clock. So this whole 10 a.m. gate opening, closing thing is not working for anybody. So what reso would I put forth? We've put forth a couple already. We've already had a resolution to ban the aerial hunting that's going on this island, and that's now gone to court. So that failed, sort of. We had the will of the people behind us, but not the will of the court so far. So it's a tricky wicket, and there has to be better balance between conservation and preservation and people being able to live their lives as they have for generations.
Thank you. We have another audience question. Would you support a ban at the county level on neonicotinoid pesticides due to the link to bee die-offs as the city of Eugene, Oregon has done? That's correct. Did you want any explanation on that question?
Yeah.
Okay.
Neonicotinoids are a family of pesticides that have been proven through 800 peer-reviewed studies at this point that link them to BDS. It's a nervous system type of chemical disruptor, so it also affects animal life, including human life, and those studies have shown that as well. I don't know if you're familiar with David Suzuki from the old TV show Nature, but he just released this whole series of studies, and it's worth checking out. I hope that you consider doing what the breadbasket of the seed industry at Eugene, Oregon, which is really important for agriculture, for the world, the country and the world really, has done to protect their food supply and their seed sources.
Blake, what would this chemical be used for? What would be the purpose of agriculture?
So the way the chemical is usually used is the family of chemical is used is they soak seeds with it, so it's systemic, so it goes inside the plant itself as it grows, and the point is to protect the plant from pest attacks. Well, studies have shown it doesn't do much to improve yields, but it does stay inside and hurt the animals and plants, the insects that feed on this plant.
Any further questions before you answer it? Okay. When we go 1 minute, and we're back to Shane.
Okay, that's an easy one. It sounds really scary. That the chemical is in the plant and that's for human consumption, correct? And the question is if we would support a ban on that, and if a resolution is brought forward, yeah.
Yes, I would introduce that resolution.
Okay, if it hurts our ability to, or no, if it hurts the insects that are feeding in it, for sure, I don't want that to come up, and I would ban it. However, I would like, because I'm not very familiar with that stuff, if that one is just being used so that the seeds is protected from other types of stuff, I really would like to look at what other uses of that particular chemical is, other than that. And my reasoning why I say that, because if there is anything at all that chemicals can be used to get rid of dengue, or get rid of potential, disease-carrying bugs. And that thing could be as effective as anything else. I mean, I don't want to cut ourselves short of the ability to get rid of it. But like I said, I'm not so familiar with that. But if there are other uses of that other than trying to get rid of that particular bug, I will support that.
And we have another audience question. Okay, here's a very specific question. What is your stand on geothermal? Part 1. And two, what is your stand on Pohakaloa DU? DU, Jim?
And live fire,
And live fire.
contamination.
Live fire contamination. You understand the question? And, why don't we do a minute on each of those? We're starting with David?
There are two questions, right?
Yeah, it's a question, what is your stand on geothermal? And what is your stand on Pohakaloa, DU, and live fire contamination?
Okay, let's get it one at a time. As far as geothermal is concerned, I am for different alternative source of energy. Geothermal, we're using it right now, and it has provided us with some energy source. And as far as the people are not happy with that, it has, it's really a different type of issue. And if at all we try to continue on with the geothermal, I really would like that all of those people that lives around the geothermal should be given enough compensation with their land so that they will be able to move away from it, if at all we want to move away from it. Our energy is very, very expensive, and we should embrace different types of energy source, alternative energy. As far as Pohakaloa is concerned, I don't like the idea of live fire. It's scary. Let alone the residual that is going to be left behind in that area. And I just leave it that way. I don't like live fire.
Geothermal is not cheap, it's not clean, and it's not renewable. We have had geothermal on this island for 30 years, and yet we still pay the highest rates in the nation. Not only the highest, we pay more than double what number 2 pays, which is New York. So it's not cheap. That's a myth. That plant actually ran in the red for 20 years. They are just now making a profit. So I also think that putting all of our energy resources on the Kilauea East Rift Zone is insane, and we should not put any more energy down there at all. It's just a matter of time until a lava flow comes and either covers the plant or the transmission lines or something, and so that is not a good place to put all our eggs. Not cheap, not clean, people are sick, they don't know why. They've avoided health studies for 30 years. They've avoided them really hard for the last 2 years. And the neighbors around there want answers. We do have a relocation program, and the county will buy your house and you can move out, and then they'll sell it to somebody else. So I think that's a bad idea. And then when you get right down to it, geothermal energy production is offensive to paleo practitioners. So even if you can make it cheap and clean and renewable, you're not going to get over that. So I oppose geothermal energy and any expansion of it anywhere on this island. As far as Pohakaloa goes, I am against, I also don't like guns. Live fire is scary, and if you've ever driven up over the saddle in the middle of the night, right when they set a cannon off right behind you, it's shocking. And we have had it was a resolution on this council a couple years ago to go up there and figure out what was going on with the depleted uranium, and there has been zero action on that. So we would like the Department of Health to come here and to answer to us and tell us why people have DU in their urine. No expansion on Pohakaloa, no C-17 jets landing up there, no more desecration of our sacred mountaintops.
Okay, geothermal. Have a lot of ideas about geothermal, and like Kerry said, we have geothermal. we're the only island that has geothermal, but yet it's supposed to be a good thing, it's supposed to be cheap and affordable, but we still pay higher energy prices at Oahu, so that doesn't really make sense. We have the geothermal. Are we recognizing the savings of it? Not really, because we still pay the higher energy. I believe Halco has put out the RFP already for the expansion of geothermal. I would be against that. I would be against that expansion, especially in any populated areas. Hazards with the geothermal, of course, the hydrogen sulfide leaks. They not only, I guess the story we were told is they inject water, but I believe it picks up heavy metals in the process. There may be other chemicals going in the water that we don't know about at the time. There's also proposed bans on geothermal fracking technology. I'm not sure if we're using actual fracking technology right now in the geothermal production, but again, we're sold on the fact that it's cheaper and it's affordable, but they still charge us the same, and if not more than Oahu. Oahu doesn't have geothermal. If our energy produced cheaper, why aren't we getting the savings? Because they don't change the price. They're going to bill us the same as if it was produced by oil, and that's just what Halco does. Another issue with any expansion or any new future proposed geothermal, you've seen it in the paper already. They're going to try and go with a Maori model and try to explain to the people how geothermal energy is porno and okay with Hawaiian culture. Just like they did over in Aotearoa. And that's for geothermal. Pohakuloa, we would be very concerned, still very concerned with depleted uranium.
Try to grab the bottom of the mic, just hold it from the bottom.
Pohakuloa and depleted uranium, we know it's uranium, we know it's dangerous. And we definitely need more oversight and control over that. Can we make the federal government adhere? Maybe not, but we gotta try.
You want that in? Okay.
Okay, so just a little bit of context for us. The Hawaiian Islands, for thousands of years, has been a sustainable place. And if you look at our current state, around 90% of all of our foods are imported. This corresponds to poor health here in the islands, high waste, to mention a few, just the burning of fossil fuels, importation brings packaging. It's basically bad practice for us, and I just wanted to get your guys' insight into how you would rank the state of our environment currently, I guess on a scale of 1 to 10, and how and why you would rank it that way. How did we get into this position that now it's almost a complete opposite of where we were at one time? I'd just like to pass that question.
And starting with Kerry. And 1 minute.
Okay, so your question is about sustainability and the fact that we import too much stuff. Yes? Or
Yeah, it's a multi-part question.
a multi-part question.
So on a scale of 1 to 10,
Oh, that's right, 1 to 10.
where do we rank our current environment, the health of our current environment here in the islands, So not just on land, but in the ocean. And how did we get into this position, and where do we go from
On a 1 to 10 scale, I rank us a 3. I think that there are some sustainability efforts going on, but they're pretty minimal. And they're definitely not anywhere what they used to be pre-contact. And I think the reason is gentrification. That's what I think. It's a big problem. When I moved here 2 months before 9/11. And when I moved here, the world was a different place. It was open and free and happy, and we had internet and all these things. And all of a sudden on 9/11, that all changed, and the planes stopped flying. And this was my first emergency disaster type situation in Hawaii, and I was shocked and amazed to find out that paper products are the first thing to go here. In Iowa, it's batteries and water, but paper products are really big here. So we need to reverse the course and start studying the old ways and change our thought process in order to change our reality. That's what I think. And then which way do I go, Bob?
Yes, Shane.
Thanks. I'll just ask.
Thank you. I would rank our environmentalism as about a 5. There are good people here that work every day trying to improve. But a lot more can be done. A lot of people haven't bought in to protecting the environment. We do import way too much. I try myself to act at home in a way that's more sustainable, more in tune with a steady state, not, overbuying over things. And I got a chicken coop in the backyard. I tried a little aquaponic experiment. Didn't do so good as the hydroponic, but it's a work in progress for me. If we can expand and move that, get that out everywhere, that would be fantastic. But yes, we do import everything. Well, yeah, that is a problem.
David.
Thank you. In the scale of 1 to 10, where are we in relationship to where it was, right? To me, I will say the same thing as Shane. We're in 5. Where it was when the Hawaiians actually had lived and produced their own food and work on the land, they're very self-sufficient. They fed themselves, and they were able to provide with everybody. And as more and more people come here, and the practice of producing our own food seemed to disappear, particularly with the introduction of the plantation agriculture and the cattle that actually had destroyed some of our pristine land. However, after sugar had closed for over 10 years from now, 10 years, we actually started to go back to growing our products, our food, and there's more of the variety of products that we are growing now that the sugarcane lands are available for other products, or other crops that we could grow. So hopefully with those different types of technology that is available for us, we should be able to feed ourselves, and that's what I'm hoping for.
On the topic of sustainability, there was a thing that started in the early 90s, the integrated resource planning. It was a federally mandated project, and the information about how we used energy became more available. In this county, since that first integrated resource planning process, The population has almost tripled. But the energy use has only gone up by 1/3, primarily due to the introduction of solar and solar getting cheaper. The county, however, is still the 3rd largest consumer to the utility. It has made some very little inroad beyond the Kim administration, and none before that in terms of solarizing the county's facilities. What do you want to do about it?
Oh, we got Shane? I'm glad you keep it
I'm
quiet.
so glad you're in charge. Oh, my goodness.
Oh, 1 minute?
We definitely need to invest in getting the county to use more solar energy. The initial cost, of course, will be large, but over the long term, it will save us all money. I believe the county building right now is solar, but definitely not anywhere else, as far as I know. Definitely, we should increase that solar power.
Yeah, I agree. I tend to agree with Shane. I would like to encourage the county, if at all, to use that type of energy source, solar. I know that the Kona has done into solar, and then we have also in our own county building, but we should do more in some of the, and if at all, we can do it, all of the county facilities should be put into this alternative source of power, solar.
Yes, we should continue with solarizing county facilities for sure. I think another thing that the county could concentrate on more is we have an enormous fleet of vehicles in the county, and a lot of those vehicles could be changed out to electric or at least hybrid vehicles. Those vehicles then could store power overnight. If nobody's using them, they could charge during the day and be a buffer to the system and the grid overnight. But the largest, by far, department in the county that uses electricity is the water department. They are, as far as I know, the #1 customer at Elko. So we desperately need to upgrade our infrastructure and keep pipes from leaking and pumps from failing and those kinds of things too. So that's, again, you're talking multi-million-dollar projects, bond projects, but we're long overdue, and we have to take care of that stuff now in order to grow responsibly, in order for businesses to be able to add services and those kind of things. They have to have that basic infrastructure needs met.
Okay, back to Recycle Hawaii. I do, again, like I said, a lot of zero waste events, and I just need to show you this because I brought it. We did Zero Waste Earth Day at UH Hilo this year. There were about 2,000 people, and this right here is out of everything we collected, all that needs to go to the landfill. I haven't taken it there yet because I'm too busy showing it to people. So we were actually a zero waste event. But when we did the calculation, we had a 99.96 something diversion rate, which means out of everything that people wanted to throw away, this is all that actually had to go to the landfill. So if we had an incinerator that was only going to burn what was left, this is kind of about what they get. Anyway, so each year the county has a program that's called Grants in Aid. And if you're elected to the council, you will participate in that process. There are organizations that come before the county and they request funding, and a lot of times they're asking for funding to support an event. getting one of those grants and aid is quite competitive. There's a lot of people that would like to get it. And I wonder if you, as a council person, would be willing to support a mandate that said, okay, if you come to us as the county and you're looking for funding for your event, well, you know, we've adopted a zero waste resolution. We know zero waste events can be done. Would you be willing to mandate that any organization that came to the county for grants and aid funding for an event, that event would have to be staged as zero waste?
Thank you. Definitely, I would mandate that. And it's something that would go with our goals of recycling and go with the zero waste. And if at all we would use money that belongs to the people, we should be at least responsible and try to require that we should not be creating more problem in our environment. And by the way, I'm wearing a recycled, this one is a recycled. A lady here uses newspaper, colored newspaper to make this. And this one is a recycled, somebody has a dress, and then these are the things that they could not anymore use, and so I use it as this.
Yes, I think yes. So do we need to expand on that? It's our county policy. Of course, everything should be zero waste. It can be. It is other places.
I agree, I would say yes. I believe we can mandate at least so much percent has to be a zero waste, or so much of the grants have to go to zero waste events.
Recently, there was an article in the West Hawaii paper, I believe, about the last remaining heiau in Hilo and some efforts to restore said heiau. Do you envision projects like that one? Should you be elected? And is there could you maybe share your thoughts on the connection between man and environment, and what role the Hawaiian culture might play in that? So I guess the question would be, if you envision any kind of projects, like the project to restore some of our heiaus, and the role of the Hawaiian culture, I guess, in reconnecting man and environment, and in your, should you be a council member?
Sorry.
I'm sorry, say the question again. How do I envision the relationship between man and nature?
Yeah, and if there's any, projects, ideas that you have of incorporating the culture and certain practices like heiaus and ahus as being kind of a catalyst, or what you envision being a part of certain projects like that.
I would like to learn more from you. I think we have to be connected to nature. We come from nature, we are nature, and we have to really grasp aloha aina and use that as our driving force when we're passing laws, and take that into account for real. That sometimes you can't cost things out. That you just have to feel it and do it because it's right. And that's where I said that.
Where do we go, Dai? Thank you.
I would definitely support projects to restore and preserve culturally significant places like heiaus, we couldn't support anything that would, develop, desecrate, disrespect those areas. I could see myself as a councilman supporting projects to restore and protect.
Okay, if I would like to envision projects and how we could incorporate Hiao and some other cultural monuments, I look at Hiao as a resource, and it is a good way. I can look at it developing a project on cultural tourism, wherein you could actually use all of those important, monuments that as a way of educating the people your culture, the Hawaiian culture, and making sure that we fund it right so it can be preserved and presented, and would be a must-see for our visitors when they come here. And then whatever we collect from there, and we're going to put it back to that project so that it can be better even as we started. And hopefully we can identify all of those areas on the island that has those resources, and then make it as because hey, we have tourism, right? And people wants to see other than beaches and other than sun and surf. So that would be a great, great project to have. Thank you.
Thank you. Do you have a more audience? You want to do those, or would you like to do? Okay. This is titled Community Outreach and Transparency. And the question is, how will you work with our district, meaning this district, to communicate current issues and allow the community time to discuss these issues prior to bringing these resolutions forward? All right?
I guess the question would be more of a access of how you could, be available, make yourself available to the community. As a council member, I would just make myself available, free to discuss anytime, whatever the issue is, whatever there needs to discuss. I know there's going to be more need than just appearing at the council meetings when it's up for discussion or vote. I mean, just being available to the community.
As far as discussing issues, we have different community groups within our district. I would reach out to them and attend their meetings, because some of them had their meetings, and then discuss issues that is important within that particular area within your district, because there's so many issues in our districts. And so if at all, I will go there and meet with them in that particular type of setting to make it more efficient than doing it one by one.
I am a big proponent of open government and transparency and community discussion. So one thing that I have missed in the 8 years I've lived, in the 14 years I've lived in this district, and all of them, I guess, is that we have had no community meetings with any council member. So I do attend a lot of community group meetings, and I would definitely continue to do that. But I think that it would be good to provide a place to hold space in the county setting for people to come to us with their issue. So it's not so divided out, and it's so one issue when you go to this group or that group or that group, that people could come to me. I have been door knocking for the last, oh my goodness, how many days, I don't even know. And I've learned a lot about my community that I've lived in for a long, long time and thought I knew really well. So that's been a very eye-opening experience for me. And now that I've done that, I can't imagine not doing that. I think you absolutely have to have community input in order to make valid and supported decisions. You have to have buy-in from your folks, or it's all for naught.
Chantal, do you want to follow up on that, or did you get your answer?
I got my answer.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. These two questions, believe it or not, these people are not sitting together, but the questions is very similar. I think I'm going to combine them. And it's a direct out question on GMOs, and it's, do you support the county's current ban on GMOs? Why don't we go with that first to make it so we don't confuse it? And I think that's a quite to the point question, so maybe we can just get a yes or no answer on, do you support the county's current ban on GMOs? Let's see, we were Shane?
Yes, to that one, because basically it's fear. I'm afraid. I don't know what's going on with the experimenting with the foods. We don't know yet what we don't know. We don't know how it's going to affect us long term.
You would support the current ban as it is, or you would not?
Right now, yes.
Yes, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, the current law, or the current law that was passed on the GMO, I disagree with it, and the reason why, because it is severely flawed. It including constitutional violation, and then the usurpation of authority, inadequate procedures, and even incorrect definitions. It's based on, I call it pseudoscience, and has already temporarily halted, ended up in courts right now. And it is actually going to be costing taxpayers in legal fees. And I have did a testimony from the very beginning that there is that law is, there's so many things in that law that would result in lawsuits, and that's what we have.
Yes, I would support the ban on GMOs as written. It has the support of the people because the people want to know where their food comes from. This is a basic trust issue, and for a lot of years, people trusted that they were buying apples in the grocery store and that they were actually apples. It has come to light that that may not be the case, and that you have to check every single thing you buy now. I don't like that. I'm a mother of 4. I'm a busy girl. I want to go to Sack and Save and pick up some food. I don't want to have to know the latest glyphosate study or figure out if, neonicotinoids were used in the... I don't know. I just want an apple. I just want an apple. I think that farmers do have choices, and that they can choose to grow something healthy and sustainable and good for the environment. I also think that the government can tell you not to grow things. We have already set a precedent with that. Try and grow some pot in your front yard. And the government will come and tell you that you have too many, or you don't have the right permit for that. So we've already set the precedent that we can set up statutes and limitations on what is planted in our INA. And this is, this is sneaking up on me, the safety issue. Safety, I'm scared, Bob. I just want an apple.
It's my job. I'm going to follow up, and I go to the second part of the question, and I think it's looking for your creativity. Say, what do you see as the next steps to protect residents on Hawaii Island from GMOs, its associated pesticides, chemicals, and usage? And I think that goes back to you. No, this is the second. The first part of the question was the support of the current, right. And the second part is, what are you going to do as sitting council members to improve on that what are the next steps you're going to take to protect the residents of Hawaii Island from GMOs, its associated pesticide and chemical usage? What's that?
And what do you want to?
Well, the first part has to do with the
current
existing
law.
ones.
Okay.
Now they're saying, what more are you going to do to protect the people from GMOs? I'm just thinking that you're going to request that GMOs be labeled. I mean, that would be one step, but maybe you're thinking of something else.
Okay, genetically or modified organisms, that stands for GMO, is not going to be available for anybody had it not gone through a very, very rigorous test and retest and research. And 3 different federal agency has to oversee that, which includes EPA, Food and Drug Administration, and USDA. And EPA, you know, that is very, very strict when it comes to impact on the environment. Food and Drug Administration is very, very strict when it comes to food that affects human being. And of course, the Department of Agriculture is the Department of Agriculture to make sure that it does not create any invasive type of stuff in the environment and that it is done properly. Now, to protect ourselves for something that I felt is as safe as a regular type of food, that I cannot see how we protect something that is not harmful. So labeling, I agree for a national type of labeling, but not at the local level.
Next steps to protect us from GMO and pesticides, I would make sure that the ban is upheld. It's kind of out of our hands right now, it's in the court system, but that's not the county's fault and that's not the people's fault. That is the fault of the people that filed suit against our county to overturn what was a very popular and overwhelmingly attended 7 months of lobbying on this issue, following probably a decade of backbuilding. So this is a very serious issue that the people have spoken loudly and repeatedly on. So if the ban fails in the courts, I would probably try it again. And definitely we need to pay some more attention to our pesticide use. That is also something, as I've been walking around door knocking, it's not even on my tick sheet of things to bring up, but you would be shocked and amazed at how many people are concerned with the pesticide use, especially by the county of all places. So uphold the ban, do a new bill on the pesticide use, and if the ban fails, we will do a ballot initiative. It's a done deal.
I would like to entertain more ideas from the public on the creative responses to the GMOs. I mean, definitely with the labeling, we need to know because it has to be disclosed so we know. Because if not, we can't make the proper choices either way if we don't know what's there. So number 1, labeling, maybe not at the county level, maybe at the state level. Definitely, probably not going to get through nationally, but. Fully support that. And as for pesticide use, same thing. We need to have oversight and regulation. That we could do at the county level, just for the safety's sake. I mean, all our water here is groundwater. We need to protect that. So that's
Thank you.
Okay. So we talked earlier on about the residential curbside pickup and the fact that we do have it. It's not operated by the county. There are commercial haulers who will come and pick up your discards, and a number of them are willing to collect recyclables if you set them aside. So that's a county policy that says they're not allowed to take it to the transfer stations. Would you support the change in that policy as a county council person that would direct the Department of Environmental Management to allow commercial haulers to pick up recyclables on behalf of a resident and take it to the mixed recycling bin for that resident.
So that'll be a yes or no, and then some creative thoughts on it. Was that you, Shane? I think.
Yeah, that's you.
I would definitely support allowing or doing the change to allow the private sector to do it. That's great, because it takes out the county's hand. We should be doing or using our sort stations and our recycling at the county landfill anyway. So having the private sector do it saves us taxpayers money. I mean, the cost might go up for the consumer a little bit, but at least we're not paying more, we're not hiring more employees to do it at our facility.
I would support it. And the way I look at it is they're already there to pick up the garbage. And so and that's really where I would like every single household should take responsibility on trying to sort their garbage into recyclables and not recyclables. And I didn't even realize that it is against the law for the private collectors to pick it up and bring it to the recycle bin, mixed ones. So I will support that, and it should be. It doesn't make sense why you won't be able to do it when we have to pick up the garbage anyhow.
I would support it too. It's sort of ludicrous that would be against the law. It seems silly to me, so that might be the first thing we do, Christine. Come see me when I get elected. Hello. I have in the past enjoyed, not in Hawaii, but on the mainland, curbside pickup. In fact, our county municipal waste, we paid for our waste through our water bill. That's how they did it where I lived in Iowa. You paid according to your water bill, you paid a rate. So the theory was that if you use more water, you were a big family who produced more garbage. So that's how that was done. And then we had mandatory curbside pickup. They gave us bins, they taught us how to recycle and how to separate it out, and it had to be clean. To this day, I wash all of my recycling with warm soapy water because that's how we were taught to do it. And so I think that in order to really get to a zero waste place, there has to be a lot of education and there has to be support. And people that pay for private pickup are not going to separate their stuff out so they can drive that down themselves if they pay for the garbage pickup. So it's a no-brainer. And that was my point. Sorry.
Okay, I got try my best. As I'm sitting here listening to a lot of these things, it still goes back to kind of the first statement when I made law defines a culture. We had questions about native gathering rights. We also had issues on GMO. We also had questions of military uses. So we're looking at gated off areas. I think it all almost revolves around the same issue, because the hunter cannot go in an area that is military gated, right? Which they do have a majority or a big section of those areas. You guys also manage our supposedly ceded lands, and then we have other sections of private properties. In these questions of when it comes to environmental GMOs or anything, it seems that a lot of the different corporations has a good tie with our politicians here in Hawaii, and we're kind of seeing the role play or the sadness of our environment be destroyed within that. So as you guys are responsible to maintain these laws and to protect our resources and the people of Hawaii, and this is where we've kind of felt weird in this process, because if we're up to date and we cannot deny the newer information, just like GMOs and everything, I mean, it's been scholarly brought out. undisputable, just as much as the existence of, there's no annexation of Hawaii. We cannot deny those facts, and we're going to go straight law. And that's the portions we wanted to make sure these exist, and we've lost that as a culture, as a people. Because if we all realize Hawaiian wasn't based off of a blood quantum, yeah, it was based off of loyalty to a place. And just like you guys are taking the roles to be loyal to a place, like I said once before, those laws, you guys need to uphold those things. So it kind of starts as my first question is just a yes and no, because it's the process of we are all held accountable. And as we're in this movement, that there is the Hawaiian Kingdom was never annexed by the United States of America, and the existence of no treaty, and that to obtain Hawaii was done through a joint resolution. You're standing here and being voted in by the people. Even though our governance and we're having that political issues, there's still a maintenance of law that we wanted and we're asking for. So on that portion, it would be a yes and no. Do you know of this information? Because like I said, it defines our law and our environment, for one. So it was, did you know that there is no annexation of Hawaii? And two, because recently, this is leading to the environmental question. We just recently, the people of Hawaii celebrated July 4th. Now that, to our knowledge and to information, is our occupiers' holiday. If we go to Bayfront today, today's the 8th, we're several days past, we can find the remnants across the beaches, across our fronts between, I would say, Keaukaha, all the way to Bayfront, of a holiday that's celebrated by a people confused, and where we have councilmen provide this service for us, yeah, and then yet there's no cleanup after. There's no accountability for those to come across, right? So the lack of education, the lack of everything. So I'm wanting to know within the source of your proposal, right, no waste, to take upon that as you run for council. Are you going to truly perpetuate these things that are truly destroying? Because I know we all could go out there tomorrow and fill up each of us trash bags full of fireworks. That I'm not saying in our culture or process, everybody enjoys it. You're taking away something that we celebrate in all holidays, right? We have New Year's, we have Lakukua, we have Chinese New Year's. So there is a celebration of fireworks. I'm not asking for the ban of that, but just that awareness and that perpetuation of that. Sorry. So it was yes and no of the awareness of what is current standing.
Well, we do that first. Okay, so this would be, yes, are you aware of the current
political standing
of, who am I starting with here?
Okay, so am I aware that Hawaii has not been annexed to the
U.S.
The U.S.
Yeah, which you're representing to.
Yeah, I am aware that Hawaii was not really annexed by the U.S. I mean, my understanding that they actually pushed the Queen out of there.
So I would just leave with that. I mean, I'm sorry, it's probably two-part. I mean, you did support the awareness of the GMO. So part of that constitution, and we wanted to bring awareness that as you taking this place, you know, we have current judges, lawyers being charged with war crimes because of these things. So by allowing GMO into Hawaii, you're violating the constitution of our environment that does not allow these chemicals in Hawaii, as well as live fire weapons. So that's my question. I mean, here you are, if you know these things, and you know that this exists, there's a portion of law, and that's why I talked about law defining culture. Where are you standing? I mean, it's a double take because you have to make a choice. So I just wanted to let you be aware. I mean, that's the portion of it, but thank you.
Yeah. Okay. Did I answer your question?
Yeah, you did. I mean, you said yes.
Yes.
Hello. I'm acutely aware that we are under illegal occupation.
And do you feel, because 4th of July, I mean the cleanup, I mean like the support.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
Yeah.
I think you drew that together really well, and I would totally do that. I think if we're going to give any, that was contingency funds. Jay Yoshimoto gave contingency funds for the fireworks show that didn't happen. That's going to happen again at the end of the summer, if y'all haven't read the paper today. But they had a problem with that. Zero cleanup. It's ludicrous to me. There definitely should be, yes, or you're not allowed to do that again next year. I mean, you have to kind of prove yourself, you know, and this is a long, I mean, it's the same company that does it every time, right? They know what it's going to do. Have a plan. Totally agree.
I too am aware of the status of the Hawaiian Nation illegal overthrow, and still unresolved after all these years. I know we hear now in the news that Department of Interior is looking into a process possibly to resolve. Is it realistically going to happen? Not from what we see in the meetings. As for the fireworks, the environmental part, definitely. I had no idea of that issue. I didn't know how much effect it had on the beach. I never really gave it a thought. Now, we definitely should have a cleanup. I mean, if it's a county event, it puts out the trash. After every event, we clean up. So why not? Yeah, we should clean that up.
Okay, so wow, we covered a lot of ground, and I myself am definitely impressed with the responses. I hope you folks learned something. And I'm kind of feeling like it would be good to wrap it up because, we've put a lot of energy into it so far. So I think what we'll do is have the candidates give a short closing statement. And in that closing statement, I would kind of like to hear why I should vote for you as an environmentalist. I mean, honestly, actually, I am in your district, so you might get my vote, because I think that might be what people would like to hear. You know, we as environmentalists, why should we vote for you? And with that, I think we'll wrap it up and wish everybody a safe journey home and let the candidates have the last word. We want to thank Sierra Club. We want to thank Corey Hardin for all of her help. We want to thank Bob Ernst for all of his help.
Christine, she put the whole thing together in a very short period.
Oh yeah, don't blame me. And because he's here, but also he wasn't there last night and I thanked him, I have to thank my boss, also known as Tips Mahalo, Paul Buklarevich, for empowering me and Lisa Hawaii put on this forum. Yeah, we did have a low attendance this evening. I apologize for that. But everything is being videotaped right there, and it will be online.
Thank you, Doug.
And I think the quality of the discussion has well been worth the effort. So if you have friends who couldn't come this evening or couldn't stay, please direct them to, will it be YouTube?
Yeah,
YouTube.
Occupy Hawaii YouTube.
Occupy Hawaii YouTube. Send them there, and they can really see these folks, you know, did a lot. They made an effort to really show us who they are, what they're about. I don't think they hid anything from us, so I'm very appreciative of that. All right, thank you. Oh, and also, we have to thank John Wong. Say hello, John. John is our university connection. He serves on the sustainability committee with UH Hilo. He and I have stood at Sword Station's Zero Waste Orientation Week, doing our zero waste events, and John made it possible for us to be here in this room. If I forgot anyone to say thank you to, please forgive me. Oh, thank you very much to the candidates for coming. And we hope you can make use of the video online. And thank you very much, La Kea, for coming and bringing Hawaiian youth to the table. I mean, that doesn't often happen, to have people your age get involved in something like this and ask you good questions.
I'll let the mustache fool you.
Okay, all right, so here we go, closing statements. Tell me why I should vote for you as an environmentalist.
I think we're back to you.
I wish to express my appreciation again to both Recycle of Hawaii and the Shira Club for this opportunity to talk with you. I hope you are living here with a better understanding of my beliefs and capabilities. I have proven track record in being able to support programs and projects that have a positive impact on all of our citizens and including our environment. I would greatly appreciate your support in this election. Again, thank you very much.
Aloha. Thank you everybody for coming and for putting this together, Sierra Club and Recycle Hawaii and Lake guys. You should vote for me because I do have a proven track record of being a solid environmentalist. I have put my fingers in the dirt. I have helped clean up Liliuokalani Gardens. I painted the lines in the tea house parking lot, for example. I have marched, I have lobbied, I have written emails, I have testified at every level of government, and now I want to make this for real and do some of those things that we talked about tonight, and I really hope for your support on August 9th. Aloha.
Just wanted to say thank you for the opportunity for letting us have this moment to speak. You know, it's very hard for us to get out there and spread the word. Advertising is very expensive, so we really appreciate the chance to talk to the people and let them know about us. Why should you vote for me? First off, I would say 20 years government experience work. I managed the state of Hawaii Child Care Assistance Program. You might have heard of it. It's called Child Care Connection Hawaii. I ran the program for the Big Island for quite a few years. Environmentally, I may not have all the right answers, but I really live in a way, you know, with myself, my children, my household, we try to live in a way to be sustainable as possible. We get by rather well on such a small income, but it's putting it into practice, actually living it, and then trying to project it outwards. And I'm going to work hard to do that. Thank you.
Thank you, citizens, for coming.